everyone. Welcome back. It's another episode of the Fearless and Fabulous podcast. And today I'm super psyched. I've got another amazing queen with me. She and I have never met in person, but I feel like I've known this queen for a long time now. I've got the wonderful Miss Emma Dingle here with me. Say hi, Emma.
Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, thanks for being here. I have been following your journey on Instagram, and you are just blowing up with your platform and how you're showing up. And I'm really intrigued by your story. But first, can you let our audience know about your passion project?
Sure, yeah. So my name is Emma, as we mentioned, and I am from Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, Canada. So I am a Canadian girl, and I am currently going to be competing at Miss Ontario Regional Canada this summer as Miss Sault Ste. Marie. So my platform project in pageantry is called Arts Ability, and it's an initiative I created to provide interactive arts education and foster creativity in youth. So I have been a competitive dancer my whole life. My parents are both musicians, so I was actively involved in theater growing up. I sing, so the arts have always been home for me. And I'm also a chronic illness warrior. So when I was 16 years old, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and the arts really were a place for me to heal. And I found that reinventing my life through the arts was honestly the way that I found happiness. So I started Arts Ability to celebrate all abilities. I have students in my classrooms who have intellectual disabilities, physical disabilities, and it's also really just a space for anyone and everyone to come try arts. So I am a dance teacher. I work as a choreographer, so I'm actively teaching kiddos. My parents both own a music studio, so I also teach theater and movement through there. I work with youth across Ontario. I've taught at a couple different dance studios. I also have a children's book that I just released this year called Just the Way You Are that also shares that messages of expression and embracing who you are. So that's really the message that I try to portray with Arts Ability.
I absolutely love that, Emma. I'm listening to you. It blows my mind how much you and I have in common. You and I
Yes.
both have backgrounds as performers. I danced for a long time. I'm now primarily an actor and singer. I've also taught theater and dance to teens and young kids. And I'm also a chronic illness warrior as well. I have fibromyalgia. It is amazing to me how within pageantry, we find each other and we connect. And one of the things that I am very uh, much an advocate for is more inclusion of different types of women in pageantry. And with your initiative, Arts Ability, what is it that you're hoping to do to show in pageantry with your platform?
For sure. So obviously a big goal with Arts Ability is to amplify arts education. Especially in Canada, arts are severely underfunded in elementary and high schools. I grew up in a small community, and thankfully we had a very vibrant arts community, but that's not a reality for a lot of
Mhm.
youth. So, I mean, number one, I want to amplify that message, but also a big part of Arts Ability is teaching self-acceptance, self-expression, and really owning who you are. So I bring that message into my pageantry, really showing that regardless of your differences, your limitations, that you can achieve anything you set your mind to. I'm a curvy pageant gal. I have chronic illnesses. I have mental health challenges, but yet I show up on that stage as representation for women who may not necessarily fit the mold. So definitely kind of a dual message of,
Yes.
but also that kind of celebration of self.
That's exactly what I love about you, Emma, is that you just own everything that you are and you do it so beautifully. And I love how you are encouraging the youth to use the arts to express themselves in a healthy way. It's not just Canada where arts are underfunded. It is something here in the States that we deal with as well. There are several areas around the country that are really lacking in those resources, and I feel personally that it's a real travesty for our youth because they don't have that healthy expression to get deal with some very difficult feelings. Some of them have really traumatic lives at home, dealing with abusive situations or bullying through school. And I can tell you, during my middle school years, from the time sixth to eighth grade, that wasn't a fun time for me. I felt, like I feel like an outsider. I feel like I wasn't part of the cool kids club. And being able to sing in choir and the art classes, I feel really brought me through some really dark places. So, as an advocate, what have you been specifically been doing to help those kids?
Yeah, so the main action item, I guess you could say, for Art Stability is doing those workshops. So I am from Sault Ste. Marie, so I do a lot of teaching in Sault Ste. Marie, but I'm also a student and I attend the University of Waterloo. So I'm in Waterloo, Ontario for half of the year as I'm finishing my degree. So these arts workshops are things that I host in many different communities. I've worked with, I think, over 8 or 9 dance studios across Ontario. And really, in all of my classes, if I'm working with competitive dancers or even students who have never moved before, that message of just expression will always be in my classes. I also have a podcast too called The Art of Acceptance. Melly and I have chatted about this before, but just amplifying messages of acceptance. And really, this year in my pageant journey, I've worked a lot on connecting with community and really bringing pageantry in my small town to the forefront and sharing how we can do better to support our youth. Because growing up, I was pretty much in the spotlight in my hometown because my parents are very well known in the arts community, but I struggled a lot with some personal challenges. I was in an emotionally abusive relationship as a teenager. I struggled with disordered eating. My chronic illness very early as a teenager was really difficult to deal with. So the arts really propelled me into a space where I could be myself. And I really try and do that with my arts workshops and with my book and all of these initiatives that I have to make other children just feel confident in themselves and understand that really the sky's the limit.
I love that. It's such an empowering message that you are giving to all of our listeners here and those who are watching us. So, of course, you know that my platform is Fearless and Fabulous, and I'm all about, helping women to feel inspired and empowered, no matter their age, no matter their size, to go after whatever goals or dreams that they may have. Don't let their size or their age limit them. What do you do personally to help yourself feel more fearless or more fabulous?
Honestly, the Fearless and Fabulous movement that you've created, I resonate so much with because it's something that I've worked on throughout my whole life to really own who I am and accept myself. And it's an ongoing journey. But obviously, the arts have been a really great way for me to do that. But I've also done a lot of personal work and inner work to become the most confident version of myself. I mean, you, Melanie, know as pageant gals, we really have to show up at the pageant
Mhm.
as our most fully realized selves. So I do a lot of meditation. I do a lot of journaling. This year, a big thing for me was gratitude journaling to
Yes, me too.
things that I'm thankful for because, as a chronic illness warrior, my days are really inconsistent. Some days I feel great, other days I'm bedridden, and it's easy to focus on the negative. So,
Yes.
a way that I think has helped me come into my fearless and fabulous energy is just really taking time to be thankful for all the wonderful things that I have in my life and all of the opportunities I've been given.
I totally resonate with that as well. I started a gratitude journal myself this year. There's a great app. Anyone can get it. It's just the gratitude app, and it's got not only a place where you can journal, it gives a daily zen. There's a lot of great quotes that I've pulled from there. There's an affirmation area. There's a place where you can make your own vision board. And I never was really into vision boards that much before, but now I'm all about it because I believe when you're manifesting good energy, it just starts to attract to you. And it's also a great place to be creative. So again, bringing arts and creativity into your life. So you mentioned your children's book, and I'm really interested in that. So at first, let's start from the very beginning. Where did you get the idea for your children's book, and what is it called?
Sure, yeah. So it's funny. I wish I had a great inspirational story, but honestly, it was just one of those late night thoughts. I was on the phone with my partner and we were reminiscing about childhood memories, talking about Candyland and different board games we liked. And honestly, it just popped into my head. I was like, I loved reading as a child. I was always into literature and reading and storybooks. And that's kind of, I think, where my creative energy started. So I was like, all those characters from Candyland, I was like, why don't I just make a children's book? And from there, I think it was about midnight, and I just started designing and brainstorming. I was on a roll, and from there, the idea was born. So my book is called Just the Way You Are, and
Mm.
it's a really sweet little story about there's these four little characters, and it's all about just embracing who you are, celebrating your differences, and it's a really just fun book. I mean, obviously, it's tailored towards youth, but it was very healing for me as an adult writing it. And I have a couple of adults who have purchased the book just as a little fun, nostalgic experience. So, yeah, that was pretty much how Just the Way You Are was born.
That's amazing. I as well, I get my big ideas when I'm trying to fall asleep is it is, a curse of being a creative person where these ideas just kind of pop in when it's kind of when you don't really want them to and you're trying to relax, but at the same time you got to go with it, right? Uh, and you mentioned Candyland. I think a lot of people can relate back to that game. I think it's the game that a lot of us first learn how to play. And I think the beauty of a game like that is it it doesn't really have any sort of label on it. It's just go explore, enjoy the magical land. And so with your book, did you find that the illustrations kind of follow that Candyland sort of feel to it?
Yeah. So when I was creating the book, I definitely had inclusion in mind. When I created the characters, I didn't necessarily want them to be gendered, to be like an animal or a person. They're really just little things. They're like little guys, little things. So when I was creating those characters, I just wanted to be fun and lighthearted and colorful. So I think I did take a lot of inspiration from Candyland and a couple different children's books that I read growing up, and really just creating these little characters that a lot of people could relate to. And in the story, there's a section of the book that has like little affirmations where each character is celebrating the things that make them who they are and little features about them. So it really was kind of that creative process of being like, how can I make characters that anyone can relate to, regardless of their gender, their age, their size? So that was kind of the thought behind my little characters in my book.
That sounds adorable. Where can people get their hands on it?
So I have an online store called the Arts Ability Shop. And currently we're sold out. We sold out of our first book launch, but I
What a
am.
shame you sold out. That's awesome. Congrats.
Thank you. But I am going to be bringing back the book in the new year. So in a couple months, we're going to drop a second launch. So you can probably get your hands around then. If you check out my social media, I have a platform page called arts.ability and the website link is there. So you can see what the book looks like.
Awesome. I'll be sure and I'll put the links in the video here so people can follow you and hopefully get their hands on this very hot book. So I'm really interested to find out, Emma, a bit about your own journey as someone who's a dancer. I can really relate to that part of it because I have a dance background and I went through disordered eating as well because unfortunately part of the reality of the dance world is that it's very focused on the exterior, not just your technique, but how you look. As a curvier woman, how do you navigate through that space of being a curvier dancer and being taken more seriously that you can actually dance?
Yeah, so it's interesting because growing up, I thought I was going to be a size two my whole life. I was a little tiny dancer body. I went to a professional ballet school, so I was really praised for having this really small physique. So
Mm.
honestly, never in a million years would I ever have thought that I would look the way I do now. And to be quite honest, the way I look now was my worst nightmare as a 12, 13, 14-year old. And it consumed every thought that I had, that I didn't want to gain weight, that I could never be curvy not that I ever had any negative perceptions of curvy women, but it was just instilled in me that being
Right.
thin equated to being beautiful. And that was really where I put all my worth. So I was mortified to ever grow into a curvy body. But now, as a curvier dancer, I really just try and enter art spaces just owning who I am. Because at the end of the day, I'm not a competitive dancer anymore. I still dance and I still train, but I really just show up into these spaces as I am and try and take all of those perceptions out of my mind, because really dance is something that should be enjoyed by anyone and everyone. And I think, especially being connected to my platform and that message of acceptance, I really just try and go in without holding on to those thoughts and perceptions. But it is really hard. I mean, I struggled with disordered eating from, I think, 11 or 12. That's when I was thinking about losing weight as an 11-year-old, which is heartbreaking to think about.
It
And
is.
really, and body image has always consumed my life. And it wasn't until I was adult and I kind of went through these changes that my body changed. And it really was a big, big journey to acceptance. But now I've really healed and worked on those pieces of me and really tried to combat those perceptions that, my weight equates even remotely to my worth. And thankfully now I've gotten to a place where I can really embrace myself and own my curves, and I
Yeah,
love my body now. So it's been a great journey for me. But yeah, I think entering any sort of dance space as a curvy woman is challenging, but you really just have to keep showing up because that representation is really important.
absolutely. I think that's the key right there. You just have to show up. You cannot be consumed with what others might think, that I quote unquote don't belong in this space. Yes, you do. You deserve to dance, to express yourself, to enjoy your body as it is. I totally relate to what you were saying about being your own nightmare. I I was that myself. I never thought I would end up being 200 pounds. I thought that would just be the end of everything for me. And so when my mobility was compromised after a car accident and I became my nightmare, I had to figure out real quick, okay, is this going to be doom and gloom for me, or am I going to try and live the best I can? And it was a journey. It was a real journey. It took some writing. Writing really healed me. Taking pictures of myself and posting them on my blog really helped out. Just learning to love myself no matter my size, be it if I'm tiny or not. I had to love Melanie right then and there. And I think that's something that as curvy women, we have to do that. Even if we end up losing a lot of weight, you have to love that larger version of yourself because she's still worthy. She's not quote unquote bad because she got bigger. Is that a similar realization you went to, or was there another path you had to go?
Absolutely. That's to a T exactly where I was. And honestly, competing in pageants really changed my perception of self, because you're wearing gowns, you're wearing these shiny outfits, and really you have to love who you are so that the outfit isn't wearing you. And it's
Hmm.
very having to face those insecurities head on. And even for me, I was convinced when I was gaining weight that if I lost weight I would be happier. But I also had to remember that when I was 110 pounds in a ballerina, that I was miserable still then. So I really
Yeah,
resonate with that. We think that once we lose weight, we're going to be happy, but that inner work and that inner acceptance is what matters most. So I 100% agree and had a very similar story. And I think as curvy women, we need to continue lifting each other up and loving who we are, because weight does not define our worth
no,
whatsoever.
it does not.
At
It does
least
not say that we're more healthy or not healthy. And exactly what you said, when I was a size 3, I was miserable because I was spending all my energy trying to be that size 3. I am just so thankful that you and I have both come to the other side of that thinking, and that we can still be dancers, we can still be fierce, we can still offer so much to the communities around us and to inspire other women. So tell me, Emma, what is your next big goal? Let us know. What's on top for you?
so I'm I'm thinking so many things because the sky's the limit, honestly.
Yes.
But I am a student. I'm in my last year of school. So in June, I'm going to be graduating with my bachelor's degree. So obviously, a goal of mine is to finish off strong and graduate. But in terms of pageantry and platform and all of those things, I really want to take my message and travel across Ontario. I'm really excited to be competing at Miss Ontario, and hopefully I'll take home the crown and be able to continue with my advocacy. But really, I truly dream of being able to bring this message and bring arts education to youth across the province and internationally. I mean, it's so crazy that, I get to connect with women across the world, and it's so amazing to be on this podcast sharing my message to queens internationally. So I think really just amplifying that message and bringing arts education around the province and the country would be a really big dream of mine.
That's fabulous. When is the pageant? When is that happening?
In June, beginning of June, so a
All
couple months.
right. We're going to manifest all that energy, letting Queen Emma show up the very best that she can be. I know you're going to do amazing things. I'm already seeing so many great things that you're doing. And I thank you so much for coming on here today and sharing your message and just letting women know everywhere that you can be fierce, fabulous, fearless. You can do anything you want, no matter your age, your size, and to lean into who you truly are. I cannot thank you enough for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's such an honor, and amen to all of that. We love that.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us for this wonderful episode. I am so excited that we're going to have so many more amazing women coming up. So please watch this space and please follow Emma's journey.